Hello, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and we're so pleased that you could join us. Thank you for bearing with us. We've had a number of contributors who have had difficulties joining on Zoom. So as a very last minute change, we have tried to move it onto YouTube to try and make sure that everybody who wanted to join can do. So I'm very grateful for everyone who's taken part in that, and have to say that you wouldn't get that in any other environment apart from this wonderful open source where everyone pulls together and we find a solution together. So that's wonderful. So welcome to International Translation Day. This day has been set by the United Nations. It existed before that too. And it's here to celebrate all the things that translators do and bring to the world and to their local environments. And we're going to be talking today for the next 2 hours about how you can be part of that, but also to inspire you with some of the wonderful people that we have with us today who are going to tell you a bit about why they contribute. So I'm just going to make sure that my colleagues can still hear me, because I think I've been told that they can't. So if someone wants to tell me that they can, brilliant. I'm just going to pop the headphones in a minute so that I can hear what they're saying to me as well. So, okay. So just a note, we've had a number of our contributors who have been taken ill in the last 48 hours, and we're very grateful to those who have continued despite being very poorly. And we just really want to say that it is amazing to have this community. So we love being interactive. So hopefully you can all see the chat. And my colleague Mizanur has been adding some questions to that chat, which we hope you can all see. And I'm just trying to get my chat up at the same time so that I can join in with you as well. So basically, we'd love to know who is with us today and where you're from. If you're happy to share that, please bear in mind that it may be recorded. So if you're not happy to share that, that's perfectly fine too. And also whether you're a translator already. And if you are a translator, which locale do you translate to? And we'd love to find out. So for those who have joined us today and are not aware of what this day is, it is International Translation Day. And because the polyglots are just pretty awesome, they have decided that what better way to celebrate that but then to make a whole week of it. So they say that WordPressers know how to party. Well, they certainly do, even when it comes to translation. So by the end of this, if you're not a translator already, I can guarantee that you'll want to be. So I'm Abha Thakor. I am from the WordPress marketing team and the Polyglots team and the WordPress Translation Day organizer. And with me, I have Meher Bala. Meher, if you'd like to wave. Meher comes from the marketing team as well, but she's also quite a legend in the WordPress India team and has been a WordCamp organizer as well. And Meher is with Karika is largely responsible for the amount of work to transform our Zoom link into the StreamYard. So thank you, Meher. We're also joined by Mizanur. Mizanur, I'd like to give a wave. So Mizanur is joining us from Bangladesh, and he's a new contributor to marketing, but we're definitely keeping him. So he's been a great send-in from other teams and has helped us on development, developer stuff, polyglots, and documentation, and also themes. So thank you, Mizanur, for joining us today, and we'll be hearing a lot more from Mizanur after the talk at 2 o'clock as he joins the panel to tell you all about why translation is beautiful. We're also joined by Larissa. Larissa, do you want to wave? Larissa is based in Ecuador, and she is one of our new contributors, new to both WordPress, but also to Polyglots. And it's really wonderful to feature you here today. And I think that is one of our key messages, is that everybody is welcome, everybody is valued, and it doesn't matter how long you've been contributing. It's about learning, shadowing, learning a bit more, and understanding, and just generally participating. The more active you are, the more you will gain from the project, and we'll be telling you a bit more about that too. And now we go to Meher. Meher, you'd like to wave. So Meher is in Serbia, and she is going to be talking to us about how she helps bring contributors together, and really is one of the strongest advocates I've met for how cultures and languages need to work together, and the beauty that they share from doing so. So Meher, we're very grateful for you to join us. And she also, she knows that a party has to have a game, so she'll be hosting our special International Translation Day game after these interviews. So Mizanur, do you want to just have a quick tell me about some of the people who have joined today? What countries are they from?
I think we got Meg from USA. Mark Scott says hi. Pedro, if I'm pronouncing the name perfectly, Pedro, and Haris, and also Erica, Naoko, Hari, Shankar. So they are joined from different countries: USA, India, Japan, and I can recognize these people from their country.
And we also have people from South Africa I can see on the list. And I can see a couple more names coming through. We've got Edinburgh in Scotland. Thank you, Mark. And Mark's just been running a drop-in session for the English UK locale. So if you're watching this, a quick plug for Mark. Come and join the English UK locale. Yes, there is one. And yes, they do need some help. And they want some help with translating the top 200 plugins. So Mark will be really pleased to have you join. Mark, could you add a link to the information? That would be wonderful. And Karika, if you want to add a link to the locales that you support as well, that would be wonderful. And she's put in the chat that she's trying to recruit contributors for Zulu. So this is truly an international event. And if you thought that being involved with WordPress was just about your very little neighborhood, think again. It opens up a whole new world, even during the pandemic. And you don't have to travel anywhere. You just hop on your laptop. So let's get on with the interviews. Thank you, Mizanur, for that. So, and I will apologise as I'm running a bit of a temperature. So we have a backup plan for a number of the organisers today to substitute. So if I drop out, it's not that I don't want to be with you. It's just that I have been overtaken by the event. So I'm going to go first of all to Meher. So Meher, I'd just like you to share with us a little bit about why reading things in your own language is so special to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be part of this great initiative and celebration. I think we lack a lot of celebration these days, so even online celebration really makes it for it. Well, the question that you asked me is, I speak several languages, and somehow I like to I like to learn new things, but there are people that I know who are professionals in whatever they do, and I've seen them struggling with different languages. So I know a doctor who is actually writing articles for PhD thesis and posting it online, but they need help, and some other people who are like website designers, they understand what they need to do, but they don't understand how to do it in a different language. So basically for me, I don't see it as an obstacle. I see it as a challenge, but some other people do have struggles in order to succeed in their private or business life.
Thank you, Meher. And I just want to welcome, we've got some joiners who are coming from Pakistan, and so welcome to yourselves. And we have a very active Urdu locale. So, you know, you pick a language, the chances are we translate in it. So Meher, that's a really, really good point. I'm just going to take that question to Mizanur. Mizanur, you've been contributing for a little while to translation, and you've recently captioned an onboarding video for us. So obviously the Make WordPress platform is in English, but why is it important for us to help people with onboarding information, instructions that are in their own language as well?
Okay, thank you for the question. Am I audible? Okay, so even though English is the standard international language, everything is available in English, but people actually seek knowledge and information on their own language, and they feel comfortable when they have content on their own language about anything, about any instructions. So it's very comforting when you have something on your own language, even if it is a written content or video content. So having something on our own language give us the confidence that we can start something from the scratch and we don't break up anything, and it's comforting. So that's why everyone seek information on their own language, and it's, if we have that, and it would be quite easier to have more people on WordPress platform, WordPress ecosystem, and they will be contributing more, engaging more. So that's why we need local information or local resources in different.
Thank you, Mizanur. Larissa, you've just doing your first translation of strings, and I know it's very daunting, but you were telling me earlier about how you feel encouraged to do that from being around the community. Do you want to speak a little bit more about that?
Yes, thank you, Abha. Well, yes, I'm quite a new translator, and it was daunting, but I have to highlight the fact that it was actually very easy to do once I think the idea is a little overwhelming, but once you get into it, it's very fast. I was also telling Meher this in our chat yesterday. It's very, very fast, very easy, so I'm very happy I've gotten started with it. And as far as the community goes, I think this is true for all aspects of the WordPress community, including the polyglots. Everyone's so open. There are no silly questions. And really, I think that's sometimes the last obstacle for people to try to get started is that they don't know who to ask, or they're afraid to ask a question. And I'd really like to encourage people to take that last step. It's so easy, and everyone is so encouraging. I think that's what really makes a difference in this community. They make you feel at home. So I'd say that, yes, my first incursion into translating has been wonderful. And of course, like Abha mentioned, I'm a newish contributor to the marketing team. And one of the reasons I've stuck around so long is just because the entire community is so welcoming.
Thank you, Larissa, and we hope that you'll be contributing and a polyglot for many, many years to come, and inspire other people too, which is also why we're all here today. So, and on that note, what better person to go to than Meher? Because Meher is probably one of the most inspiring people when it comes to come and contribute in your own language. And I think that's really valuable. And she has done a great deal to bring together so many locales from across Asia in the last few weeks as we've been working towards WordPress Translation Week. And Meher, you also get approached by lots of people who say, I can't do this, I'm not brave enough, or I'm not technically skilled enough, and therefore I can't be a translator. Do you want to share what you tell those people?
Sure. Thank you for the amazing introduction, Abha. So 3 years back was my first time I actually attended a Polyglots event in the Mumbai WordPress community. I also was clueless what to do. And for me, my main language, my mother tongue is Gujarati, but my main language which I speak is English. And one of the community members showed me how to translate, and it is easy. It's not that difficult. People often wonder, saying that, I'm not a developer, I'm just a normal user of WordPress. Why should, how will I contribute? Will I be able to contribute? So to me, what I suggest them is try for 30 minutes. We are here. These are the steps, and you don't need to look in for too complicated strings. You can look for the very basic strings which are available in the WordPress core, and try and translate them into your own language. Uh, I remember helping one of my colleagues last year, and she was new to Polyglots that time. And in the span of 1 hour when we were in the event, I think she translated more than 500 100 strings. So she found it easy, and it's just that don't think about polyglots as you need to be a developer, you need to be a designer, or you need to even know WordPress. You can translate normal English sentences into your own language. We welcome you. We want you.
Meher, perfect. And on that note, I just want to bring in a comment from the chat that has been posted by Meg Phillips. Meg, waving to you. Hello. And my screen's just closed. Who said in the chat, the WordPress polyglots are such a special and important part. And the screen is closed again. I'll start that again. The WordPress polyglots are such a special and important part of the overall project, which lives out the diversity and inclusion of WordPress's mission to democratize publishing. Thank you to all. And thank you, Meher, for getting that on the screen as well. So that's lovely. Thank you, Meg, for sharing that and for supporting the team around this project. And also, it's wonderful. We now have people who've joined during the beginning from Portugal. So welcome, and welcome to I have to give a big shout out to Pedro, because Pedro is an amazing, inspiring translator, and is certainly one of my favorites when it comes to sharing why contributing is so important. And so Pedro, thank you for being here, and all you do too. And we've also got the Indonesian team joining. The Indonesian team, Meher, have been amazing, haven't they? They have just...
Yes, they have just been.
Every time I switch my messages on, there's something else that they've done for their week of celebration. It's brilliant. I am so excited and hoping to join them for one of their sessions this week as well. I think Meher and I are flying literally, virtually all over the world to try and attend as many sessions as we can. And we had Naoko this morning from Tokyo as well. And in fact, we'll hear more from Naoko later in the week with some more contributors who want to share their story. And so you'll get to hear a lot more.
Her stats in the morning, which Naoko shared, you can realize that besides English, there are a lot of other languages which are getting translated.
There are, and we're going to touch on that a bit more later as well. I don't want to reveal all the statistics because I know a lot of people want to hear the interview we're going to do with Naoko on that later in the week, so I won't do a spoiler. But do keep tuned in this week. If someone can share in the YouTube channel the link to the P2 article, the Make WordPress article, which has all the events that are happening, and we're constantly adding to this. So do regularly check back. If you are not already on the Polyglots-events channel on Slack, then you really want to be this week. We want to hear what you have been translating. What is your favorite thing to translate? But also, where are you having difficulties? The link that we're going to share in the YouTube channel will also tell you about lots of the help information that is available, from the Polyglots handbook, from a new guide about your first 100 strings that Karika has helped develop, and lots of other tools. So the beauty about the Polyglots team and the WordPress community is that if there's a need, we'll create a solution. I think this StreamYard broadcast is an example of that too, because we didn't have this less than 24 hours ago. So I'm going to go back to my questions. So, Mizanur, what would you say to new contributors who want to take part and who might find Polyglots a first natural home?
I think I'm having an unstable internet connection. I have missed the question, some part of the question. If
Okay.
I have understood, you asked me if someone is starting and as a polyglot, or how they can start as a polyglot, right?
Yeah, how can
Was
they
it
get
something like
started in the
this?
community? Because if English is not your native language, then actually the Polyglots presents a fantastic opportunity to get started in contributing to WordPress. So,
Yeah.
over back to you.
So as I have contributed in different, as I have contributed in theme and so community, then marketing, and also in polyglot. Polyglot is quite easier to start with, because you just have to find a theme or plugin in your local language or the WordPress core. Then you just have to go to the because it's quite straightforward. You can start translating that in your local, and there are good number of GTs and PTs for different themes and plugins. So it is easier to go, because all other teams, as they have a lot of things to process, so those are overwhelmed for the newcomers. But for polyglots, you just go pick a plugin or themes and just translate it on your own language. So there is too much of information to start with. I think that would be easier for the newcomers.
And Mizanur, can you share with us just what GTE and PTE stand for?
General translation editor, and PT is for, I think if you hear a lot of sound, someone is crying beside my apartment. I mean, a baby. So just pardon me for that. I apologize. So
This
general
is
translation
live.
editor.
This is how it happens. Don't worry. We've had goats arrive on screen as well before, so don't worry.
And yeah, and the plugin translation editor, I guess.
Thank you. So thank you for that explanation too. Larissa, I'm going to come over to you, and you translate into Spanish. Now, your first translation was for an onboarding video. Do you want to tell us a bit about the onboarding videos and how other people can get involved?
Yes. Well, yes, my first translation was for the onboarding videos for people who want to start contributing and need to get onboarded onto Slack and the WordPress platform. And well, first of all, we've had such great feedback on these videos, because once you show people that you have something adapted and customized for them. I was so happy to be able to do Latin American Spanish, because there are a ton of different Spanish locales and versions of our language, and it really makes me feel at home and listened to, that I can actually access a the specific version for my language. For people who want to get involved, it's very easy. You just reach out to anyone on the marketing team, Olga, myself, and we'll get you started. We have done so many, but there are still many to do. And yeah, so that was my first experience translating, and I think it really made me comfortable to start taking on other projects in the marketing team, and also start translating strings.
Thank you. And Larissa, do you want to add into the chat the link to the onboarding videos so that people can see where they are? That'd be lovely. And just for context, we started this in a response to the contributor marketing and communications work that we were doing. And we found that contributors were continuously having problems in terms of getting past onboarding. They had difficulties in setting up a make WordPress.org account and difficulties joining Slack. It also took up quite a lot of time at contributor events. So we thought, well, how do we find a solution to this? And we have a coffee break at our marketing team, and I made some suggestions about what I think would work and what we could do. And is another example of how the WordPress community comes together and collaborates together. By the end of the coffee break, we had a plan, and we had screen recordings being planned out. We had languages starting for pilots. We had people who had never been involved with the community before, apart from their local WordCamps or meetups, who wanted to get behind this. And I think that's another example of just, if you have an idea and you can work collaboratively with other people, we can make a difference. And as Larissa said, it's made it easier for people to hear and get involved, make sure they can use their accounts outside a contributor environment too. So Meher, I'm going to come over to you because you've been involved in making some of these videos too. And I know that you've managed to get people who are good at speaking, but who haven't contributed before, but use WordPress. Now, Karika's made a comment on the chat that quite often translators and polyglots are very active, but they don't have an active WordPress.org profile, and because they don't see themselves as contributing to the project, but obviously they are, because it's important. So for you, why is contributing to translating just as important as contributing to any other team or to be a WordCamp or a meetup?
To me, why translating is important is because not everyone's first language is English. And especially if people don't know how to write in English, they get hesitate to even open on their normal blog site, and they want to share information. They have lots to share. So by translating and developing WordPress into different languages, we give the normal users a platform to build their own websites in different languages.
And that's very important, and we're going to be talking about that in our second session, so please stay tuned. We've been joined by a few more people, and just welcome to contributors who are joining from Bangladesh, from Brazil, from Venezuela. I'm just reading through the chat to see what other countries that people have come from. More from the United States, more from Portugal. It's wonderful, and everyone wishing each other a happy Translation Day. How wonderful. And we've got someone who's just joined from Germany too. So that's brilliant. So many of these contributors who have joined today are also running events this week. So please look at the link on the Slack for all the events that will be taking place, and just get involved. They are also running some drop-in sessions on Polyglot events. And even if your locale is not running an event, but you would like to start translating, drop in a comment, say where you are, what locale you're in, and someone will get back to you and try and connect you up with the right people. Just bring in Karika's comment that actually Polyglots is the first point of contact for many contributors. So let's make it extra special. So, because it is very important that we do that. And another comment I've had in from that's come in via Slack. I'm getting comments via Slack as well as YouTube. I wasn't expecting that. And is that we also have people who are watching from Turkey, from Australia. Oh goodness, you must be staying awake a lot for that one then. From I don't know how to pronounce that one. I will come back to that one. And okay, another 25 countries that I'm just counting up that are joining, and we'll make sure we mention them during the course of this event. Now, I know you're all very excited about our game, and we have to be. I think this is about the right time to go to that, and we'll be continuing our discussions after the game. So, Meher, can I hand over to you?
Sure thing. I would just like, I don't, if Meher can just share the screen. I don't know how many of our current attendees have played Kahoot before. This is a very interesting game that we will be playing today. It's not related to WordPress because we also need like a little bit of extra and some other interesting time. We're going to be learning about sleep. And the way how we play this game is that you will read the questions from the screen and answer either in a different browser or a tab or from a mobile device. So what you need to do, you need to go to www.kahoot.it. So it's KAHOOT.it. And you need to join with a pin. So, okay, here we have the first one. It's Erica. So the pin is also visible. So if you have any difficulties, just write in a chat. Let me see if I see any questions in the chat. No, this is fine.
So we have the United States and we have South America so far.
Very good. We have
Everybody
plenty of time to wait. So we have plenty of time. So yeah, so we have Harry, Naoko, Jordan, Source, Erica. There are also going to be some awards. Actually, the winners will get some digital swag, very interesting one. So I will not share before we actually play the game. I think it's going to be much more interesting to understand what you got in the end. And I hope you guys will enjoy. And just in addition to talking about the translation and everything, I know for every time that I translate something, I'm sure that somebody else will benefit from it or will be very happy. So just the fact that I will make someone happy or make his life or her life easier, that's already a good cause for me to translate. So we have Haris, Meher, Mizanur, Hari, Naoko, Jordan, Source, Erica, Larissa. Anyone else? Anyone else? Nalini, oh, great. Abha, you let me know when, I mean, since I don't see the chat anymore because I'm in full screen.
Yeah, I'm everybody else, if you'd like to join, please do. You just have to open up Kahoot in a browser and put the PIN number.
Antaro, Meda.
You don't have, you can join with a nickname. You don't need to use your proper name. I'm sure you'll forgive me that I won't be able to join because I've got all the windows open here, so I will crush the live stream otherwise. But everybody else, please do join if you'd like to.
And the digital swag is going to be very appealing and interesting. So I believe that you would have that this is additional motivation. Actually.
Yes, you've been very generous with that. So you know, and you can't have an event in WordPress without digital swag or swag of some sort.
Yeah, why else to have an event if there is no swag? I mean, who will come to the event, right? It's not only about
we hope they'd come anyway. But while we're waiting, I just want to say hello to Antaro, who's come from Argentina.
Hi.
And Jordan, who's come from Venezuela.
Hey, I hope you guys are good there.
I think unless anybody else wants to join, I think take it away.
Wow. So you are able to see my screen. So I will just push the button. How we play it. So just to remind you again, you don't press anything on this stream, but actually you choose the correct answer from a browser or a telephone. So without further ado, I think it's the time that we can start. All right, just give me a second. I think. So today's game is the science of sleep. And here is the first question. Do we have any answers? I don't see any. Oh, here it is. Here some answers are coming. So probably due to maybe a delay in streaming. Very good. 2 seconds more. And that's it. Wow, we have 4 positive answers. So an organism's innate timing. Let's see who got it. Oh, Larissa, very good. Nalini, Naoko, Erica. Okay, there's some huge competition down here. For some reason, just give me a second. For some reason, it doesn't want, I don't have a next button. Very good, but I'm just looking why there is no next button. This is happens to me the first. Oh, here it is. So this is the second question. Caffeine is a sedative and makes you sleep. I'm sure this is gonna be like the most correct answered question. So let's see, 11 positives. So let's see who won this round. Naoko, my goodness. Naoko, congratulations. Larissa, Erica, Mizanur, and Pedro. And Pedro is coming up very well. Bravo, Pedro. Let's go. Next question. What is a sensory receptor? Bravo, very good. And let's see who had the fastest finger. I was Naoko. Bravo, Naoko. Larissa just a couple of points behind. Erica, Mizanur. Very good. Let's move to the next question. A small area in the center of the human brain is called, put letters in the right order. I think this is a kind of like a little bit of a tricky question because it's not only select one option, but you need to select all of it. So 5 seconds more. 5 seconds more, and that's it. So 75% won it. That's really good. So let's see who had the fastest finger. Oh, I can see the competition is rising because I see that the difference between the figures between all the players are just disappearing. You know, there is not much difference between it. So I think that's really good. Though Naoko is just winning this game. Congratulations, Naoko, so far. 5th question: what is a gene? Wow, the number of players is even increasing. So we have 18 players playing at the moment, and it's a small section of DNA. So let's see who had the fastest finger. Okay, Naoko again, Erica in the 2nd place, but Pedro not giving up at all. That's really cool. This is amazing. Guys, Naoko is seriously fast in answering and reading. Next question. What is melatonin? All right, 10 answered, but Naoko is just amazing. But Erica is actually decreasing the difference between Naoko at this stage. This is really good. Nalini, bravo. You really swam to the 1st place. This is amazing. And Larissa and Pedro just behind you for a couple of points. So let's move to the next question. 7th question. Jet lag is a disruption of a personal circadian rhythms from long travel distance. Actually, long distance travel. I'm sure we all had this at least once in our lifetime. Very good. And the fastest, still Naoko, followed by Erica and Larissa. Congratulations, girls. Let's move to the next question. 8th question. Your internal circadian rhythm or influences you when you like to go to sleep. So it's caffeine, chronotype, sensory receptor, or a teddy bear. The sleep is very important. This is when our body repairs, and if we don't give it enough time to repair, or if we don't do it at the right time, it will not be able to repair itself. So make sure that you sleep, that your sleeping habits are at least as best as possible. So it's a chronotype. Congratulations. And Nalini seriously moving from the 6th position to the 2nd, followed by Erica. Naoko still running first. Next question. Typical circadian rhythm follows a which hour cycle in humans? Please type the answer. Please just type the number which you think is the right. This is a tricky one. Okay, what did we have as answers? 6, 8, 2, 24, but it's 24. Correct. Let's check. Naoko leading, Erica in the 2nd place, and Non in the 3rd place. Wow, congratulations. Moving. 10th question. How much sleep do you need to feel rested? This is just the poll question. You don't earn any points here. But let's at least see how many of us use similar sleeping patterns. I know mine already, but let's see. Three seconds more. So most of us sleep 7 to 8 hours. So, but I actually need 9 to 10 hours to properly sleep and to feel better if I go to bed after 11 o'clock. But if I go to bed at 10 o'clock or something like that, yeah, then it's 7 to 8 hours. So 11th question is again poll. How much sleep do you usually get? And I believe we're all gonna be in the same yellow area. Wow, 5 to 6. Oh, that's really, whoever has voted 5 to 6 hours need to rethink of their sleeping strategies, because the body cannot recover in 5 to 6 hours. It cannot rebuild itself. So if it's a constant thing that happens to you, it could be really, you could develop certain problems. But then there are people 9 to 10 hours, only 5%, and 7 to 8, 47%. Cool, that's amazing. Try out feeling tired of feeling tired. What's the one strategy you could improve to sleep is actually to try to sleep tonight. So the last question, and it's the double points. This region of the brain acts as the body's master clock. Nucleus, nuclear cortex, and I'm not very good in reading suprachiasmatic nucleus, I'm sure, something like that, but I believe you guys will know. Now, I think this is something what you guys either need to Google or you need to just play by the luck, choose the color, and that's it. And let's see. We only have one correct answer, and that answer could actually make such a change on the table. And let's see who that is. So in the third place, we have non, congratulations. In the second place is Erica. And in the first place is Naoko. Congratulations, guys. This is seriously great. I don't know if you enjoyed the game, how much I did, but we have Hari and Larissa following you. This is all amazing. Or mentioning, Abha, would you like me to mention the awards now?
You could do, yeah. I think we definitely need to give a definitely first prize, if we can.
Please, I would urge you to contact Abha and to send her your details. Today we have 3 winners and we have 3 awards. The first winner is Naoko. She is receiving $30 Amazon voucher. Erica will be receiving $20 Amazon voucher, and Non will be receiving $10 Amazon voucher. I hope you like your rewards, and I hope you will be able to either purchase something nice for yourself or make someone else happy with this coupon that we will be sending you. And I'm so happy that we actually have winners, and that the competition was so tough. It was really great. And without further ado, I'm transferring the word to you, Abha. Thank you.
Thank you, Meher, and for organising that, and for the
I
person
think
who
Abha
was
is
very.
having problems with getting her video, but she will be back.
I'm here, so I'm not sure. Hello. Am I still not on your screen?
Yeah, I can see your video perfectly.
I think I'm back. Okay.
Can you see Abha's video?
StreamYard, yes, I can on StreamYard.
So can we assume that everyone is now back connected? Okay. So there's some expected. Well, that's the fun of working with a marketing team. We keep it creative and we keep it fun. But on a serious note, the reason that we picked sleep is because during this pandemic, this is one of the issues that contributors talk about the most, is that it is very difficult to take your mind off the worry, and sleep is very difficult. Now, for some contributors, actually connecting with the WordPress community and that staying connected is what is getting them through. It is joining the informal, the laughter, the collaboration, and removing that sense of isolation. So that's why we pick sleep as a topic today, because we all need it, and contributing has its challenges too. And we also want to acknowledge today on International Translation Day that it is hard, and contributing has moments of great workload, but the more people that we can encourage to actively contribute, the more we can share that load, the more we can innovate, and just think what we can achieve if that is possible. So thank you for joining us for that game. I think you all enjoyed it very much. So that was good. And Meher, thank you very much for the generosity of doing those vouchers too. That was very, very nice of you. And thank you to Nalini, who opted out of the quiz halfway through. As a doctor, she realized that she could probably answer these, so was trying to pick the wrong answer. I think she needs a prize just for making sure she picked all the wrong answers. But thank you for that. So we're now going to have a bit of a switch around, because we've got more for you. So you ready for more? And we're going to have a quick look at the chat to see who has been joining us. We've had so many new people, and again, we seem to be having messages now coming in via Slack, via Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So my screen's going crazy, Meher. It just is inundated with messages, and not all of them in English. So I've got a screen trying to translate the messages as well, so that we can include them. So we thank you to all the people who've joined from the Netherlands as well, and we've had more people join from the US. This is brilliant, absolutely brilliant to see. We also have contributors who have joined from Iran, from Russia, another one from Argentina, 2 more from Japan. We have a contributor from Bhutan, who we will be talking with a bit later as well. Some more from India. I think it says Peru. We've got a contributor coming from Peru. That's great. We'd love to have you on our interviews later on if you'd like to join too. And we have from France, Germany, Spain, Croatia, Lisbon. I think that's Lisbon, Portugal. Cornwall in the UK. Jersey. The list is endless. We will collate all those in the background, and we will share them too. So this is a truly global community. WordPress, you may only see it in English US, but I can guarantee that you can see it in much more. So we're just going to move to our next part of our program. So Meher, I think I need you to share my screen.
Sure.
I may need to close Kahoot. I think that might be why you can't share my screen at the moment. Does that Does that? Oh, it works. Thank you.
Have you shared your screen?
I've shared my screen, but it's not pulling it up. So bear with us as we try and get the technology to work.
Yes.
Okay. So hopefully you can now all see my screen. Nope. Right, as I now can't see the screen, Meher, you're going to tell me. I'm not sure I've disconnected myself.
Can you see the screen?
No, I'm just going to try and get you on another screen so that I can see what you can see. Because at the moment, all I can see is a presentation. Okay, so that's interesting. It's gone to the back of the presentation. They say don't work with pets and children, but sometimes I think they should say don't work with PowerPoint. Right, can you now see my screen, Meher?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Thank you to everybody who's joined us for the second part of our 2-hour International Translation Day spectacular. And if you just joined us, then you might be wondering, what is International Translation Day? It's set by the United Nations. It existed before, and they've just brought it to international prominence. One of the most important reasons for International Translation Day is because of the work globally, not just in the WordPress community, but much, much wider than that, that translators do every day to connect people, to help people interact, and to really make our world a bit more inclusive. So if you're with us today on the 30th of September 2020, I hope you're enjoying finding out a bit more about translation and how you could use your skills to really help others. So we're going to talk about today a little more about translate and why you would want to translate.
Next question.
And why you would want to translate for yourself, for your community. Now, your community is not just the WordPress community. It's also the community that you live in. We see with WordPress, time and time again, people who bring the platform, the opportunities of the platform, to help develop skills, opportunities, and open up eyes really to what is possible to do in technology and in terms of aspirations. Translation can also do that, and it can also make a real benefit to your community, but also to the bigger world, because everything that you do within your own community can be replicated. People often talk to me about what does it mean to fork the project. And they say, how does that apply if you're not a developer? But if you build something in your local community and that can then be shared with others, replicated, enhanced, adapted to what is needed elsewhere, that's the equivalent of taking a piece of software, developing it further, and taking it down a new route. We all, in our way, contribute in that way. One of the statistics that is going around the internet this week is the amount of languages that exist. And we're very lucky as a global world community that we actually have 6,900 living languages. Just to put that in context, that is 6,900 different ways to say the same words. When I first started working in international cultural communications and international communications, I was very lucky because one of our contributors, Nalini, she had been doing this for years, and she introduced a concept that she'd heard first by Mahatma Gandhi about how we all use different words to talk about the same thing. But actually, the fact that we use different words and we can exchange those different words helps us to build understanding of each other. It helps us to learn just a little bit more about somebody else's culture. And if we can understand where people and their thinking may come from, or what affects their world, we're more likely to understand the context of what they might be trying to express. And that's no different, be it if somebody is speaking about an expression in Peru, to India, to the United States, to Iceland. Understanding each other and really understanding that all these different languages are what make our world more beautiful. And wouldn't it be wonderful, and the technology is helping us do so, for us to be able to understand just a little bit more about somebody else's language? The example that's often used is the word for water. So what I would like to do, because we promised you an interactive 2 hours, is in the Slack channel, or if you're on YouTube and you are able to comment in the channel, could you add the word in your language for water? And could you add in brackets next to it what language that is in? And I will ask Larissa and Meher and Karika, who are helping with the chat, to pull out some of those expressions. So I'll just give you a couple of seconds to add those. So just pulling out a handful, we have pani, agua. It's the same word in Afrikaans, but it's pronounced differently, so that's very interesting. Air in Indonesian. And water is spelt the same in Dutch, but it's pronounced as, I'll hopefully not get this wrong, water. So you can read in the chat all the different ones, and we have mizu in Japanese. Now all these things, just from those small examples. Mark, if there's a Scottish version that you want to put in there, a Gaelic version, then please do. I know we've just had a Welsh version that's come through the chat as well. See, water is one of the fundamental things. We've talked about sleep today. It's also very important. But water is one of the things that we need to survive. And in many languages, it's a completely different word. But just understanding one word in another language can help you navigate a visit to a place, can help you access information, services, can also help your enjoyment of a location. Well, in WordPress, it's actually no different. We have more than 200 locales in WordPress. That's actually quite amazing. That means 200 different languages that WordPress is being translated to, and that figure has been rising. So we have volunteers all over the world who are taking part in that. And if you can imagine back to your last trip to a different country, or talking to a different community who speaks another language, how important it is to know what a translated word is, from water to help to a range of other essential vocabulary. If you then amplify that and think about how much more important it is to be able to read all the things in the WordPress software in your own language, in a language that you can truly understand, in a language that you don't have to go and ask for help, and that makes you feel special. Because we heard from Mizanur earlier, and we're going to hear it from more in the panel after this presentation, that reading WordPress, being able to build a website, be it for your hobby, for your grandmother, for your pet, we have plenty of those. But to be able to do it without having to think for every single word, what is that in English? Because that's what people often have to do to contribute to the WordPress project. If they're contributing in the global team, they not only have to understand what is being said from an instructional perspective or from an informational perspective, but they also have to have their brains translating that information so that they can understand what that means if English is not their first language. And that is a tremendous skill, and something that I think we need to be more acknowledging of, and we need to celebrate, because it's not easy to do. And I know you will join me in congratulating everybody in our polyglots who actually make WordPress accessible in that way to people in their local community, people who speak the same language, and they make opportunities for them. In this week, we have the very first WordPress Accessibility Day, this Friday and Saturday, starting at 1800 UTC and going through until Saturday. And we hope that many of you who are here today will be joining that. I will be talking about subtitling and captioning at that, and its importance for translation as well as for disability. So I do hope you'll join me for that on Saturday at 12 o'clock UTC, and the other speakers who are delivering some amazing content. I often get asked when we're doing research for how do we communicate translation better? How do we show people why do we want to do it? Why should I bother doing it? It's only a couple of strings. It's not going to make a huge difference, is the typical response I hear. I've done interviews at 18 months of contributor events now, and it's probably one of the most common responses. I can only manage a couple of strings. It won't make a difference, and I'm so nervous about doing this. How do I and why do I get involved? But having spoken to global mentors like Nyoko, I feel very confident to assure everybody who thinks like that the first few strings may just be the beginning. Contributing is a journey. You'll hear that a lot in the community. It's a journey where we learn together, we learn from each other, we improve our translations, we improve our skills, and we do that by hearing each other and sharing with each other. So if you haven't translated before, come and have a go. You've heard the panelists in our first session talk about the welcome that you will get. You can watch the locale information that is provided, and most locales have a handbook to help you get started. And I know as I'm talking that Karika and others will be adding links to the Slack channel and to the YouTube channel for how to get started. You can also find more information on our article that brings all the events together for this week. And if I can ask Larissa to share that as well, that would be wonderful. The other question that we often get is, I can't call myself a polyglot. I say that because my translation skills are certainly not as good as I'd like them to be. And also, they take time. So translating a couple of strings might take me a little longer in some of the languages I speak. And it can be frustrating. It can be discouraging when that happens. But I do know from talking with other people and from the stories that you've heard today and that you'll hear throughout this week, translation gets quicker the more you do. So if you come and join and be a polyglot, give yourself a bit of patience. Understand that it's not immediately easy to do everything, but there is lots of help around. I have to say, one of the biggest people for encouragement that I've met in the community, and trying not to embarrass her, is Karika, because she's always finding ways of how to encourage those new contributors who get discouraged because it takes a little while at first. And she's produced some guides that we've been promoting and will continue to promote, and we're hoping we'll be able to do some more interactive things with her during the week as well. The other thing that we hear from people is that they say that, well, translating's not really contributing. That's not actually adding to WordPress. Well, I am here to tell you that it is most certainly adding to WordPress. This morning, Naoko talked about the number of installs of WordPress. And I was amazed to hear that approximately half of those are actually not in English. And that's an amazing figure, that people are installing WordPress in all those different languages. We make up 38.5% of the web through WordPress. And 50% of installs are not in English. If polyglots ever wanted to know why their contribution was so important, that figure alone should reveal it. I won't give you too much more about the statistics from there, because we've got another session with Naoko later in the week, and I'm hoping you'll all come to that, please. I'd like a bit more interactivity. I'd like people who are able to use the chat, and I appreciate some people are preferring to use the chat on other channels because they don't want to use their login on this, and that's completely fine. But I'd like to know, how long was it before you classed yourself as a translator? How long were you contributing to WordPress before you felt it was okay to view yourself as a translator, as a polyglot? I've got answers coming in already. So I'm going to ask someone to watch the YouTube channel so I can deal with the ones that are coming in on Slack. So I've got one person from Indonesia has said it took her 2 years before she believed that she was a translator. Have someone who's come in from Argentina who said that it wasn't until he had his first 50 or so strings approved that he thought maybe he could actually do this. A message that's come in from Sri Lanka, and welcome to the person who's joined from Sri Lanka. They said that they still don't believe that they're a translator. because they keep coming back to translating and each time feel that they have to learn it again and then get worried because they think everybody else is going to be experienced. I'd like to say to you that that is a common thing that people feel, but please don't be discouraged. The best way is to connect with your locale on Slack. And if someone can put in the YouTube channel the link to how you can find your locale, and you'll be encouraged by other people. I've had a couple of comments in saying, why have I put human on the presentation screen? And the reason that I've done that is because often when people are talking about translation, even in discussions on DevChat, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what is involved in translating and a lot of confusion about automation. One of the things that we learnt as part of doing the onboarding videos and the translations that we're doing for the marketing is that sometimes it's not just about translating the exact word. It is about translating the meaning so that it can be understood in the language that people are reading it. And that's actually a really important skill. And it's not something that automation can do necessarily that well as yet. So the reason that I emphasize the word human is that all these wonderful contributors that we have and all the translations that happen are actually being done by real people. So next time you see a statistic about the amount of languages that WordPress is available in, just take a moment to realize that all these are thousands of volunteers that we have who are dedicated to make it available in that language. Thank you to everybody who's been sharing in the channels about how they can get involved, and you'll be hearing more about that throughout the week. Again, on our story that's on the Make WordPress Polyglots this week and on our social channels, you can find much more about that. So do follow us on Twitter at TranslateWP, on Facebook with the same name, and WordPress Translation Day on LinkedIn as well. And also, I've been told, on Facebook too. And own it. If you're contributing to WordPress and making that available, then you are a translator too. And this day, today, International Translation Day, is celebrating the work that you and your colleagues are also doing. We've touched a little bit about how translation is more than just changing the words. So one of the things in a couple of decades now of working with international communications is the importance of the statement. It is very hard to collaborate if you can't understand somebody. It's also very hard if you can't understand the context of what they're saying. One of the importances of translation, and in the WordPress community, is actually bridging that gap, making it easier for people to connect, making it much simpler to share, and also about emphasizing our commonality. It's surprising that when you have words translated, how much more people can collaborate. We've seen it with the onboarding project that we've talked about earlier today, where we're making videos to help people get started in contributing to WordPress. And through that, we have translated the captions, and we've also done voiceovers in different languages. And Larissa, if you want to add to the chat how people can get involved with that would be wonderful. But one of the joys of that project, and I'm really, really glad that we pushed for that, was that through that, we've opened up new conversations, new collaborations, and we're much more aware within the people who are working within it, and hopefully sharing that outwards, is that when people can connect on one level because of the language barrier being removed, they can communicate on dozens of new directions and new levels. We've seen some amazing collaborations that have come from this. We've seen people who were not previously involved with any part of the project now actively involved. One of my favorite examples is we have a contributor from Bhutan who joined the Polyglots channel because he wanted to run an event this week as part of the WordPress celebration. And he actually started all of this because it was only going to be one event. And as you'll know, for people who follow the blog and the Twitter feed, we've had 3 mini translation weeks, mini translation events this year so far, which is amazing. We've had one in French, Italian, and in Bangla. And this contributor from Bhutan wanted to do something similar. And from that, we had lots of other people come forward and say, well, I want to do something too. I've seen what you've done with the mini events. Can we do something else? And eventually it snowballed into what is now a whole week of WordPress translation. Now, that is just amazing. And I'd like to thank the contributor from Bhutan. I won't embarrass him with his name, for his energy, because what he has shared with us in the team is that he's now become a marketing contributor. He's now learning about other things to do. He's helped connect his locality with some of the WordPress diversity things that we're doing as in the community. And he's also come up with some amazing ideas and inspiring other new people to get involved. That's why translation is more than just changing the words. Translation is about that connection. It's about helping people genuinely understand each other. But the joy of actually working with the polyglots, and I'll encourage anybody who doesn't already do that, to come and find out, come work with the marketing team, come work with the Help Hub, and discover the benefits that you will get in your learning and your understanding through working with the polyglots. You will get a deeper appreciation of culture that is not your own, of the communication needs that you need to be aware of when communicating with somebody from a different country or culture. One of my favorite responses in the poll that we've been running this week has been understanding that you need to slow down sometimes. If you are speaking in your own language, but you're talking with other people who may need to translate as you speak. The best quote I've seen is that I don't know how they do it. I can barely think that fast in my own language, and yet I'm working with somebody who is translating everything that I'm saying to their own understanding and then translating it to somebody else. That is phenomenal. Translating also opens up opportunities. It opens up opportunities for people in your own environment to find out more about how they can be connected through an open source project, how they are able to be included, and also helping them to feel that what they bring is special. And that sharing is amazing. We've started in the marketing team to encouraging our contributors, who are also polyglots, to share something about their language and their culture and their country in our marketing events, so that we can help with that cross-fertilization of information and knowledge, but also to spread that inclusivity and understanding. In WordPress, just like in other open source communities, translation gives people a voice. I'm here speaking this in English, and we would normally have translators who are also translating this as we speak. We've done this for a couple of events now, and it's been amazing to see the translation of a prepared script coming up on screen. As we don't have a prepared script today because we've changed our program, they're not able to do that as clearly. But we will be translating much of this so that it is available for other people. Sometimes people may feel that to use WordPress in English does not give them that voice if it's not their own language. And that can equally be if it's in English US compared to English UK. If you want to truly feel that you are using WordPress to share your hobby, your interest, your culture, whatever it is, what better way to do it than to do that in your own language? It doesn't mean that translating it into English for a wider audience, or into Spanish or French or whatever other wider audience you need to reach, isn't equally important. But the value of having WordPress in your own language, or in a language that you want to work in, because for some people, we have contributors who don't live in Spain, don't live in a Spanish speaking country, but that is their mother tongue, and they wish to give other people where they live the opportunity to speak in and to write and to work in that language. WordPress also provides a way to learn new technology. Again, going to our Bhutan example, and I'm hoping that I'm not embarrassing our Bhutan community, because I'm ever so proud of what they're doing. One of the essences of their mini translation event this week is to help give a voice, but also to give a technology to people who may not have access to another form, because other forms of technology may not be in a language that they can access. By removing those barriers, which is what polyglots do every day, every week, and every year, we can make technology in the form of a content management system, access to the internet through that, so much more possible. And that's something, again, that we celebrate this week. We can open up ideas for the future. At my very first WordCamp, which was actually in Brighton, I was amazed to see a few groups of people who, after the event, and as you all know if you've been to a WordCamp, the hallway track and the after party is a great way of collaboration as well, and you get to see lots, and you get to enjoy lots of different things. They were working with other people who spoke the same language. Not all of them were natives in that language, and they were working on solutions to projects that they had in their business or in their hobby environment. And they were trying to find ideas for how to do that. And that's just probably one of the moments that I realized that this truly is and can be a global community. And if we remove and work towards removing the barriers, the sky's the limit. WordPress also enables us to encourage cross-cultural collaboration and innovation. I've spoken about that very briefly just now, but I'd like you to have a think about this week. Where have you seen WordPress do this? Where have you seen that having a translated version of WordPress enable giving people a voice, helping them learn new technology, opening up ideas and encouraging this collaboration, innovation? Because I can guarantee if you think about that in your environments, your experiences, what you've seen in traveling the WordPress ecosystem, you will have at least 3 examples. And we would love you to share them. You can share them on Twitter at TranslateWP and use the tag WP Translation Day. And we encourage you for accessibility to use the WP, the T for translation and the D for translation as capitals to help screen readers. You can also share it in the Polyglots -events channel on Slack. And I know people have been sharing that link as we've been going on, but if someone can share that Slack link again, that would be great. You can contact me on Twitter and share. If you don't want it to be public, that's fine too. I'm Nonstop News UK on Twitter. You can share it in the marketing team if you just want to be able to share it in a different way. But we want to hear from you, because all these ideas, all your thoughts are important to helping us share and helping us to create a better way to collaborate and to reduce barriers, but also to celebrate together. And we have a lot to celebrate. I hope that during this week of celebration, that you will be inspired to join, to inspire others, to tell your story. We have a form which Meher is going to share in the channel, and we'll also share it on Polyglots events, where you can tell your story of being a translator. Very simple. You can just answer some questions about why you chose to be a translator, why you enjoy it, what you would say to other people. We've also done the form, and we have a question and answers that you can also have, that you can go and interview somebody else. We know that's very popular, and we've done that at quite a few contributor events over the last 18 months, and we've had some amazing results. So if you'd like to do that, that would be wonderful too. We're also encouraging a cross-nation, cross-world collaboration. So if you would like to interview somebody else about being a translator that is in another part of the world, get in touch with us in the marketing team, and we will help you do that. Join WordPress Polyglots. It is a great place to be. There have never been so many opportunities for content. Naoko this morning spoke a little bit about the content opportunities and the variety of material that exist. And we're going to talk a bit more about that in a moment. So come and join. The water's fine. And wouldn't it be wonderful to learn a little bit more about the world? Thank you very much for joining us for this. And I'm going to hand back to Meher so she can take us back into the studio. And we have another panel.
It was an amazing session, Abha. Got to learn a lot of things. Thank you for doing this. We know you are not keeping well today, but you've been amazing for encouraging everyone to come and participate and translate.
Thank you, Meher, and for all the people that have been sending me messages during this, I've just got a temperature, and I've had it for a few days. So we've had a few moments today where we had to do backups just in case. So, but thank you very much for all the best.
Oh, did we lose Abha? I think we lost Abha, but in the meantime, I'll get the other panelist a second session. Hello, everyone. Mizanur, you want to?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello everyone. Abha is having some sort of difficulties for the internet connectivity. Meanwhile, I will continue. Welcome everyone, all the panelists and the viewers watching from YouTube, and also asking question in the Slack channels. So welcome for the second part of this event. I think Abha will join us shortly. If Meher can add her, I think she is asking to come to the, front stage. Please add her.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had one instruction from Meher to not forget was to not close my StreamYard window, which I'm very sorry that I did. So I'll just blame the fact that my temperature's just rising. So so sorry about that. Thank you, Mizanur.
Yeah, I have welcomed the audience and also to the panelists. You can now take over.
I'm going to include you in a minute, so you don't go away. So we've got a few new faces, and so thank you to everybody who has joined. I'm going to do some introductions. So we have Erica in my top left. I'm not sure she'll be in everybody else's same location. And Erica, you're joining us from the US and from a very successful WordCamp Philly. So where we're very grateful to be able to talk about the work of the polyglots. You would think, we found even an opportunity at the after party at WordCamp Philly to talk about the polyglots. So we travel everywhere. Erica is also the multilingual wrangler for Automatic, and has kindly been pulling all the information that we've been producing this last few weeks together into the post, and keeping us all sane and encouraging us all to go, it's okay, it's going to be all right, it's going to be fine. So we're very grateful for her getting us to this point. We have Harry. Do you want to wave? Harry Shankar is joining us from India. And Harry is a community wrangler. We've got quite a few wranglers joining us today. It's lovely. And Harry has been definitely trying to keep this whole thing going. We went to speak to Harry 2 days ago to say that a lot of our attendees suddenly can't get into Zoom, and how do we solve this? And over the last 48 hours, I think we've all worked very hard to try and make this happen. So please do appreciate the it won't be a perfect stream, but I hope that you have managed to catch most of it. So Harry, thank you very much. You've been completely awesome, and we are now going to steal you from their community team to be part of marketing, and we've already told Erica this as well. So and I know, I can see it on Yvette's face. She never misses an opportunity to get some new contributors. But hey, that's my brief, I think. I'm sure you wrote that for me. And that brings me that brings me neatly to Yvette. And Yvette is one of the marketing team reps, and is one of the Dutch translators. And in fact, I got to know Yvette first of all as a polyglot, and telling me about translation. So that was great. So she's going to be talking to us a bit more about that too. I'm just going to ask the people, if they're not on, if they're not answering questions, they could put their microphone on mute, just because I'm getting a lot of very loud feedback into my headset. And then we've got around my screen. Then we've got Bernhard, who is, oh, I've lost people. I'm hoping Yvette will come back on screen. Yes. Bernhard, who is waving, who with very short notice, and I apologize for that, Bernhard. We all thought we'd invited you, and we realized that everybody thought the other person had invited. So he was very, very sweet to accommodate us at the very last minute. So we appreciate that. And Bernhard is from Germany, and his locale is also organizing a mini event this evening for a meetup. So we'll be able to share that in the YouTube channel as well, if somebody wants to, or Bernhard, if you want to share the link, that would be awesome. We also have it on our article. I know I keep referring to this, but you will find all the things that are happening. So you really want to keep looking at that. And we'll keep updating it as we get things coming out. And I've it's a good job that Meher's not on camera at the moment, because I've just counted up the amount of interviewees that we've had offer during the time we've been live, and the tally is now 43 people who are wanting to share their story with us this week on Zoom. Or on here. So I think we might need to get some sleep thinking about Meher before that, but that's amazing. That is the power of WordPress, and that is the power of collaborating together. Now, it brings me to Mizanur. So people who didn't meet him in the earlier session, Mizanur is one of our new contributors to marketing, but has been a polyglot and a theme reviewer for a much longer time. And it's been wonderful, because one of his areas that he's going to be helping us with our ideas and development is our buddy scheme, where we try and get people who speak the same language as a contributor to help them just overcome some of the initial barriers to contributing. And we'll be talking to you a bit more about that in a minute as well. So Karika 43, yes, it's truly awesome. And Karika, if it wasn't for you, we would not be having this live stream, and she's been having to deal with some very odd questions today. So thank you very much to her. Okay, so we have got some other panelists that are coming in too, and we're going to try and do some swap overs to to include everybody. So Erica, I have my first question, and I now have 2 pages of questions that people have filled in. You'll be glad to know that you don't have to answer them all today, but you may know the answers to many of them. So the first question that I think is perfect for yourself is multilingual. What does it mean? And does that mean that for the community, and how does that fit with what we do in Polyglots? So over to you.
That is a great question, and I think it's one that I ask myself often as well. What does it mean to be multilingual? English is my first language, but I'm also, I recently started contributing translations to the Brazilian Portuguese team, and I speak a few other languages as well. And when you were talking earlier about how long it takes to feel like you can call yourself a translator, I really identified with that question because I too am someone who feels like I'm still trying to call myself that. It's not a term that I still feel like I've earned yet. And I think that's valuable, though, especially in relation to polyglots. And honestly, with all the work that we do on WordPress, and I apologize if you can hear my dog behind me, so much of what we do is, because we're open source, everyone's welcome to contribute at so many different levels. And I think it's really common for people to feel like being a beginner is a hindrance. And of course, with anything, it's with translating, with contributing in any way, it is a skill. And you do have to get used to how to contribute and how to get started. But I think it's so valuable to have people from different levels, people who have different backgrounds, who, if you're translating from English into your first language, if you're translating WordPress into a second or third language, I think the number of experiences and backgrounds and different ways in which people can contribute is so much a strength of what makes WordPress and the Polyglots team so strong, that it's something that I really see as one of the huge benefits of how we contribute and how we participate in this community as a whole.
That's such a brilliant answer. Thank you, Erica. And thank you for being here with us. We really do appreciate that. So my next question, I'm going to put to Bernhard, if that's okay. So it's a question from a translator who says that I always wanted to join the German translation team. My parents speak German, but people tend to make fun of my grammar and my changes because I didn't grow up in Germany. But it really matters to me to be part of my original culture. And I think WordPress, from what I've seen, will help me do that. Do you think it's okay to join and learn without people thinking that I'm in the way?
Absolutely. I think there is a big need of translation, especially in terms of plugins and themes. I mean, there are so many of them, and it's not possible for the Polyglots team of the German language to translate all of them themselves. As any other locale, we do have a style guide on how to write sentences. And I'm dyslexic myself, so even I don't get the grammar right all the time, and I might not know all of the words in the glossary. So even as a native speaker, I do mistakes. And that's where the rest of the team can help to change those sentences which don't fit the style guide. But the majority of the work is translating all the strings in the first place. So if you have a rough translation by someone who knows German well enough that goes beyond an automatic translation like Google Translate, that's a great help. And then the rest can be done by the Polyglots team, because we can, when we review the translations and we approve them, we can fix those small issues. So I think doing the major work of translating all the strings into a more good German first translation, I think that's more than enough we can ask for. And
I think that probably applies to all locales, would it not, in all languages? Harry, you're nodding. Do you want to just add something there?
Well, I don't have anything more to add. I guess Bernhard was pretty comprehensive, but that's definitely something that so I have one experience with that, and I've seen other people do that. So people actually can learn languages by translating WordPress. I've seen this happen in my case. So when I've translated WordPress to Malayalam, which is my native language, I've been speaking Malayalam since the day I was born. I've actually learned several new words, and I've realized that there are some words that you can actually. I've had difficulty finding literal translations for some English words, and in the process, I've been able to learn that as well. So definitely, it's a great experience, and I don't think I have anything a lot more to add than what Bernhard said, because he summed it up really well.
Yeah, one of the very unique things we have in Germany is that contributors don't even have to know English. Because in German and in some other languages, we have two variants. We have an informal version and a formal version. So even if you only speak German and no English at all, you can translate from the informal German, which is the default, to the formal version. So you just have to know German, and you just have to know how to replace du with sie and deine with ihre and things like that, and you can contribute. And because the majority of translations are in the informal version, and maybe 10-15% are formal right now, there's a lot of work to do. So even if you don't speak any English, you can participate in the translation day. And this is why we always have new people at the translation day, and they can really help, and they really see their contribution to be in the translation directory and their influence.
Bernhard, can I ask you a supplementary question? You mentioned that how welcoming the team were for even people who might have dyslexia or other disabilities or accessibility issues. And because, again, we're in a week where we're celebrating accessibility, do you feel that people who are worried about having an accessibility need shouldn't be worried when it comes to joining the Polyglots? I know you've talked about Germany's experience, but generally from what you've seen as a WordCamp Europe organizer as well?
Yeah, I think also translating things has something to do with accessibility, because when you try to translate an English sentence into German, you can do it quite literally in how the English sentence is written, or you can rephrase it. You shouldn't be too creative in how you translate things. It should still convey the original meaning, but in providing a better translation, which is easier to understand to a German native speaker or to a person in general, makes it so much better for everyone. Because sometimes when you know English quite well, you read an English sentence and you know what the English sentence is telling you, but if you try to translate it literally to German, no one would understand what the original sentence was meaning. So thinking about how to make something into a German translation that makes sense for a German reading it, that also helps people using WordPress easier. The only thing is we have to be consistent in how we translate things. And this is where the Polyglots team kicks in. So we have to make sure that in like similar plugins or in similar themes, sentences are translated in the same way. This is sometimes where it can be seen a bit rough when the Polyglots team is telling a translator that this is not how we should translate the sentence, even though it's correct, because we want to have the same translation more or less in all the themes or in similar plugins. And this is where maybe some discussion happening and the translating contributors don't feel welcome. So, and especially when you just communicate via Slack. And this is why the translation days are so important, because you are in the same room with the people translating, and so they see why you ask them to translate in a certain way.
And during the pandemic, we're recreating those rooms as best we can through Zoom and other platforms where people are trying to collaborate together. And I think that's excellent points. And Bernhard, thank you very much for sharing all that. And the person who actually asked about the German question has just said that they would like to come to the meetup tonight because they haven't felt brave enough to do so before. And they would really like to say thank you to you. So thank you very much for sharing that insight. Yvette, I'd like to I've got a question here that I think you would be perfect to answer. Are you okay to take the question?
Yes.
Just making sure you're, yes, lovely.
Just use your hands if my sound is breaking up, because I'm not entirely sure about my internet connection.
Okay, no problem. So the question that we have is that how does translating make it more important to be part of my locale? Because I contribute, this is the question's asking, I contribute in lots of other parts of WordPress, but I don't contribute in my own locale or polyglot. Why would you encourage people to do that?
Okay, I missed the first part of the question. Why is translating important to? And then I missed it.
Okay, so basically the gist of their question is they contribute already to lots of other parts of WordPress, but they don't contribute to polyglots and have never done so. And they want to know why should they? because surely it's more important to contribute to other areas, is the question they've asked. They haven't been to the presentation. They've just joined and want to know, because they think it's a perfect time to join Polyglots because of Translation Day, but they're just not sure why they should add it to their existing contributing work.
Okay. I think there's a few sides to this. I occasionally contribute to translating besides all the other things that I do. And one of the aspects that I really enjoy is that it gets me in touch with another group of contributors. And the more, if you're able to be active in a variety of teams and communities, it really helps cross-team collaboration. So, and I totally realize that not everyone has the time or the capacity to be active in a variety of teams. If you are able to do that and you are a polyglot, I warmly encourage it, because you will not only be the glue between the global teams, but also between the global teams and the local teams. So that may be something to consider. Also, translating parts of the WordPress core software helped me understand more of how the software is constructed in a way, which again helps me, for instance, in the marketing. So it may help you in community teams, it may help you in training teams. So that may be another reason to also join the Polyglot. And I think this is more of a personal one. To me, hanging out with WordPress people is whatever team I hang out with, it's like chicken soup to my soul. So the more time you have a chance to hang out with people like the WordPress people, the better they will make you feel in a way. But like I said, that's personal.
Thank you, Yvette. And I know, yes, definitely. And I know Mizanur wants to come in and add something to that.
Cool.
Okay, thank you, Abha, and thank you, Yvette, for answering that question. From the question, what I have understood is that someone is already contributing in different part of the WordPress, like theme, community, and things like that, why they should join to the Polyglot team or contributing to there. As I have been contributing in different teams, and I have started with the community, then as a theme reviewer, then in the marketing, and then Polyglot, I can answer. Maybe from my point of view, why I have chosen translating different theme and plugin and even the code. So the answer should be, we want to make translation event trendier locally around the world for different languages, so that WordPress is reachable to the local people, and anyone can understand things on their own native language. And translating anything into your own language as a translator is very, very pleasing, and it gives a lot of peace in mind, because it's emotionally and psychologically very rewarding that you are reading something on your own language and you are helping people to understand the message behind anything, like a theme or plugin or any settings, things like that, on your own language. And your own audience is going to love that, and it will make them understand better WordPress. And eventually it actually helps your other work, like if you are a theme reviewer, plugin developer, your theme will reach out more, because people gonna read everything on their own language. So it will make them proud that everyone is available on their own language, and it will eventually make you proud and more reachable to your audience. That's why you should join Polyglot.
you can see why Mizanur is one of our polyglot marketing people, because that was just amazing. Thank you very much. And if you're not inspired by that, then I don't know what will reach you. I have a question that's come in for Harry and Erica. It's what level of WordPress usage do you need to be able to translate WordPress? So Harry, do you want to start with that?
Shall I go for it, Erica? Yeah, cool. So any user can translate WordPress. There's no minimum level of knowledge that you need to translate WordPress. If you know to use WordPress, you can do it. I've seen people who've literally started using WordPress when they started translating it. I've seen people who are from different backgrounds of the world, who probably are they're people that have a very minimal computer knowledge. I mean, they just know how to use Facebook and Twitter and some social media profiles. I've seen people like that go to translate.wordpress.org and translate WordPress. I'm not kidding. I've literally seen this happen. So it's a very easy and a very straightforward process. You may have some a minimal learning curve as you start, because in case you're not very familiar with translations, but once you get in the groove, there is literally no stopping you. Right? If you're really passionate about the whole process of translating, and you will become passionate about it when you start doing it. So that is the power of translations. To be honest, like the way I started with contributing to WordPress was with translations, and it really got me hooked. And now it was basically the catalyst that led me to working with the community team. Erica, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, the one thing that comes to mind too that you actually said earlier, related to your previous answer, I guess, is to say that better. I also think it's a good way to learn WordPress too. So, like you said earlier, translating is a good way to learn the language that you're translating into, or get better at the language that you're translating into. I also think in the process of translating, and you see where the different strings are that you're translating, where they are within WordPress, what they mean, what the context is. I also think that's a really good way for people who are new to using WordPress to understand the different features and have a bit of a kind of a safe space to explore different tools and areas of the WordPress dashboard that they might not on their own too.
Brilliant answers from both of you. Thank you very much. The questions are coming in thick and fast. It's just like my form's suddenly gone crazy, and I can't believe that's the right figure. I have 225 questions since we put the form out yesterday. We will not cover all of those today. Please rest assured that we definitely won't cover all. But that's amazing. And they've all been actually useful questions. So that's really good. So you get the marketing team involved. This is what you get. We get people asking questions and getting involved. And I've got to take this one. I don't know who will be able to answer it, so I'll open it to the floor. This contributor says that I've been active in contributing to lots of open source projects over about a decade, but I've never thought about translating. My wife speaks Spanish, and she saw this advertised and told me that I was coming to this talk. And I said, I'm going to sign up. I actually speak Italian, but we don't speak it at home because my wife's Spanish, and we actually live in Germany. Okay. So we didn't know what language to speak at home, and for our children, we decided that German, because it was their school language, was the best to do. But I'd never thought about how important it was. Sorry, I'm reading it as they're typing. I need to be able to get them on the screen. I don't know how I do that, but I need to work that out. Right, so I lost where I was on his connection. Sorry, I think my mic might be. Yvette, could you just mute your mic a sec? I think it's. Thank you.
The thing is, if I mute my mic, I have to go out and then back.
Oh no! Don't do that then. Don't do that. I'll ignore the feedback. Don't worry. don't want to lose you
sorry.
because this question will be good for you.
I already tried.
That's okay. So he's carried on to say that we speak German at home. I never understood the value of having translations for anything in tech. I work for a big international tech company, and we didn't see the value of doing that in what we do either. Really, we do the standard 5 translations in all of our packaging. But what you've been talking about today has made me realize that this is important for my children and that they get an understanding of that. I would like to ask that question to Harry and also to Yvette. So, okay. So, Yvette, do you want to answer first, and then we'll move on to Harry's response?
Okay, so I found a way to mute my mic. Thank goodness. And while looking for that, I missed part of the question, but I will add my thoughts and just give me that sign if it's completely off topic. My family and I, well, my husband and I moved overseas in 2001, and we had our first child when we lived in the Caribbean. After that, we moved to Canada, lived there for 3 years. My son was speaking English both Dutch and English fluently after we moved back to Curacao. My daughter then was born in Curacao. They differ 6 years. And over the years, she taught herself English by playing with friends. Now, traveling with 2 bilingual kids is an amazing experience that if you are able to give that to your kids is fabulous. It will bring them in touch with so many other cultures. And I mean, with German, Italian, and Spanish, you already have so much ground to cover. Also, by volunteering to translate in open source like this, you would probably model a behavior that is not only like if you master languages, you can do with it. It will bring you places, it will get you opportunities. Also, you will model how giving back to a community, how volunteering can make a difference in so many people's lives.
Thank you, Yvette. And for sharing that. And Harry, do you want to add to that? And I saw Erica nodding, so I shall go to Erica after that.
So, like I, you can call me a bilingual person, but I don't exactly fit the same situation as the person that asked the question and Yvette. But I see that there's a great point that Yvette made. I mean, being multilingual definitely helps, and if you're that kind of a person, you are the most ideal person to contribute to the Polyglots team. Additionally, like something else I've noticed and something else I've thought of is if you're learning a language, if you're learning a new language, maybe it's also a good opportunity to contribute to the Polyglots team. I mean, you don't need to take up all the hard strings. You can take up some of the easy strings. You can, if there's something that you don't really know about, you can probably search for an answer and just add a string. It could be wrong, but you're translating as a contributor, and there's definitely going to be a GT or a PT that's going to edit those strings. So even if you make mistakes, that's fine. But in the process of searching for those, the translations of those strings, you're going to learn something. So that's definitely a benefit that I see with this. Erica, do you have anything else to add?
The one other thing I would add too, and I'll pause too because I see there's a question about just explaining what a string is. So if it's okay, I can just interject that right now. But just to step back a little bit, a string, when we're talking about a string, it refers to just a piece of text in the WordPress project that we would be translating. So anytime you're looking at your dashboard and you see any of the text from a plugin or when you're writing a post, all of that can be translated, and it's broken up into strings. So each individual string is translated, and then once they're all translated, it's put together. So you see everything is translated when you're viewing that. And I think, and kind of jumping back to what Hari was talking about in terms of contributing, the one other thing that I would add too, when we talk about polyglots, so much of our work is done in the individual locales. I also think people who are multilingual, even if they don't feel comfortable, or maybe they don't feel as, I don't even want to say they don't feel as useful, because I think anyone who contributes to translations is useful, no matter what piece you're contributing to. But I think what I'm trying to say is, if you're looking to contribute and not sure where to start to, or want to contribute in a different way, there's also Global Polyglots, which is where we coordinate polyglots efforts from the global level. So the Polyglots channel in the Make Slack, where we're organizing a lot of this. There are sometimes other ways to contribute there through things like documentation, improving the experience and things like that. And I think for people who are multilingual and who have that knowledge of what it is like to translate, or what it is like to speak multiple languages and interact in the tech space, that's also a really valuable perspective to have there, and is also a very welcome place to contribute to, in addition to working within your locale and translating strings.
Erica, just as you've been asking that, I had a message that's come up on Slack just saying, how do people join that global work?
That's a great question. So I would say the best way for getting involved, we have the Polyglots P2, which is where a lot of that is. So if you go to make.wordpress.org/polyglots, you can follow a lot of the projects there. I think the best way to get involved, though, is through the weekly meetings. We have one meeting per week in that chat. So once you join the Make Slack, the makewordpress.org Slack, and you join that channel, you'll get those notifications. And we also have the dates and times for those in the sidebar on the P2 with the website that I just mentioned before. I think joining those in particular are a great way to get involved, since you can see broader conversations. We often have a lot of discussions either about projects or things that we might want to improve. We had a very good discussion this morning about some changes that we might want to explore or propose, and just to make the experience easier for people who are managing their locales as well. And I think following those and knowing that new contributors there are very, very welcome. Your perspective as a new contributor is very important. That is a great way to get involved as well, and see where you can help and propose new ideas.
Thank you, and thanks for taking that follow-up question too. We have a question from Matt. Go on, Yvette.
Okay, there was one more thing that listening to you all, bubbled up in my mind that might be helpful for the person who asked this question, and also others. So many more high schools these days require kids to do community service, and my son actually was allowed to translate for WordPress as one of his community service projects, which is amazing because he's an introvert, and this really worked for him. So I thought that I add this to the conversation and maybe help someone with it.
Thank you. And if you want to contribute to WordPress, it could be a way of doing that from your community projects. And someone has just added that a lot of employers will allow time for contributing to a community project, and it could be that you pick WordPress and the Polyglots as that. So thank you. Just to highlight a point that Naoko has put in the chat, that actually there's more training available through WordPress Polyglots than even some professional translating channels, and diversity in translators and developers really counts. So yes, there's plenty of help. And again, do look at the article. I know people have asked what's the P2. The P2 is the Make WordPress blog, and I know somebody will share it in the Slack and in the YouTube channel, because they're all very fast at sharing links. So that would be lovely. I have a question from Meg. I know it's been answered in part in the Slack, but I also want to raise it here. She'd like to ask about how valuable and why human translations are so much more valuable than existing automated translation tools. So I'd like to take that to Bernhard first of all.
I don't know what to say about automated translation tools. The outcome of those are usually pretty bad. I have seen some other open source projects and some translation to German, and to put it positive, they're hilarious. I mean, you laugh a lot when you see some of the translations, but they don't really help. I mean, if you don't, as I said before, convey the meaning of the original sentence, then they don't make sense at all. So it's very valuable to have a human being translating a string. There are things to speed things up. There are some tools available that can use some kind of a database of already translated strings that were translated by a human, like the Poedit software you can use to translate also WordPress themes and plugins. They can use translations from a database where actual people translated strings. So it's almost as fast as using an automated system, but the quality is just much better. I would say it's better to not have a translation than to have a bad translation, because people might be able to get more out of the original English sentence than from a badly translated sentence. And like scanning all of those automated translation for errors and trying to fix them can take even more time than translating them like again.
That's a very good answer. Thank you for that. Erica, did you want to add anything to that from your role?
I think I don't have much to add. I think I agree with everything Bernhard said. I know that there are times when automated translation is useful, but I do think that we are very lucky to have so many people who contribute that we can have a human translation to make sure that it is accurate, and also the element that I mean, perhaps one day it will exist with automated translation, but being able to you said in your presentation, it's not just translating the words. And I think a lot of our translation is translating meaning, but also translating culturally to things that are culturally accurate and appropriate, and that makes sense for people in their language. I don't think that any automated translation system has mastered that just yet. That would be amazing. But I think having that human element really makes such a difference for people, especially if they're experiencing WordPress for the first time and they have things that are adapted to them that they're used to. It feels so much more comfortable, and it removes, I think, there's a lot of cognitive load in learning WordPress for the first time, and that really helps to remove at least that element in terms of needing to translate everything.
That's an excellent point, and I think it's something that the events like this can help highlight, because it helps with building awareness as well. A comment from Meg and quite a few other people is that translators should feel very proud of what they do. And I'd second that too, as I'm sure all of you would too. The other question that we've had that I'd like to take to Mizanur is, if you start translating into another language, does it become harder to then work in your native language?
It depends. Because every language has different way of constructing sentences and the emotion and other stuffs like that. So if you don't understand the second language, then it could be difficult, but I wouldn't say that it's impossible. But translating back and forth can be a huge time consuming, and sometimes it could let you down and frustrated. So I would say that if you understand the second language quite well, for me, English is not my native, but I understand it quite well, and that's why I can even translate from Bengali to English quite well. So if someone understands the second language or any other third or multilingual, then if they understand quite well, it shouldn't be a very big problem, and they should jump in to contribute to the other language also.
Brilliant. I know that some of the examples that were shared on the Google form were of people in different generations as well, who were told to only speak one language at home. The chap who lives in Germany was being said that they were told that at school by their teachers, that not to speak in Italian and Spanish at home because it would confuse their children. I know when I was little, my parents were told the same, that not to speak in anything apart from English because it would slow my development. So, and it's, yes, Yvette's face says it all. And I think that now there's a lot more understanding that actually learning languages at a young age can help in that understanding, and it can help people in terms of their cognitive development and also in their cultural understanding. So, Yvette, I know I can see it on your face. You are desperate to say something there. So, do you want to just take that? You're on mute. You need to unmute your microphone.
Having seen my kids grow up part of their lives on an island with a lot of multicultural families, I have seen that it takes a little while longer for them to master languages. Then they will speak up to 4 languages fluently. And I've seen it over and over again.
And someone's just responded saying that on Slack, I hadn't realized I still had the Slack chat up, that they want to contribute to Polyglots to inspire their children and their friends to think about other languages, particularly during COVID, and where our worlds are becoming smaller in one way because we're not traveling, and they think that's a very important way to commit to something, is to join the Polyglots for that purpose. And Karika's had a very wonderful point that it does take special skills from parents and teachers to help manage language confusion, but it's totally worth it. And I think we'd probably all agree in that. I have about 6 other questions that I pulled together from the different range. If everyone's happy to answer those, I will take them. If not, we can move to the Slack and answer them on there. So are you happy to take a couple more questions? Yeah? Okay. So because we also have, we're trying to be accessible, I've got a feed coming through from some of the people who aren't able to type, and I'm going to try and take their questions now. So if you wonder why I'm sitting like this, I've got another headset earpiece coming into my ear with the line that we put in for them. So I'm going to try and take that now. Okay. So one of the questions is from Laura, and she says that she speaks 5 languages, but she would not have the confidence to well, no, she's correcting me now, sorry. She says that she understands 5 languages, but she doesn't have the confidence to speak them because she's deaf. And she never thought that she could be involved in Polyglots, and because she cannot speak the languages, because it is much harder for her to be able to do that with her deafness. She's actually lip reading the session today, so I've got a feed running that's doing a bit of trying to give her the questions that are coming up as well, so she can keep in touch with what's going on. She said, is there a place, she wants to know, is there a place for people who have a disability like that within the Polyglots community? And can I give that to Erica?
Sure, absolutely. I think that's amazing. Yeah, I think one of the things that, I mean, speaking to this specifically, one of the things that I appreciate about WordPress is that there are a lot of different ways to get involved and a lot of different forms in which you can get involved, whether it's through a Zoom hangout like this or an event, or through our chats, through translation, which I am assuming text-based would be a little bit easier. And I think if she is interested in getting involved, I think that would be great and more than welcome. And with her experience, I mean, her experience is, like, I know I keep saying this, but her experience is super valuable. And if she does have any challenges or feedback based on her own experiences, I also think that's really, really important for us to be able to highlight. Having users with, having people contribute with all different kinds of backgrounds and experiences of the world, I think helps us to understand too if there are ways where it might be harder to get involved, and then that's something that we can work on fixing too, to make it more accessible and more inclusive. So absolutely, yes, I think there is a place for that, and that would be amazing.
Thank you, Erica. Harry, I got the impression you wanted to say something too, so I'll go to you.
Well, Erica pretty much summed it up very well. I don't have anything more to add, but yes, this not just applies to the Polyglots team, it applies to all teams of WordPress. Everyone is welcome, irrespective of what their background is, where they're from, or whatever their attributes are. So yes, they can definitely contribute, and they're always welcome.
Sorry, there was a slight delay because I have to type your answer back because I've only got one lip reading camera up. So, okay. So, Laura wants to just add to that please do think about the fact that it is possible for someone who is hard of hearing to learn a different language, and they don't think that they can't because they're hard of hearing, but it is difficult for them to speak it. And I would love the day where, as Mizanur has talked about the beauty of speaking in his own language, that one day the people would appreciate the way that a deaf person speaks is also beautiful, because it's so hard for us to be able to do that, and the challenges that we have to be able to do that. We think it's beautiful. I hope someday that other people do too. Oh, I'm going to ask Mizanur to come in on that, because that's lovely.
To be honest with you, Laura, that it's wonderful that being disabled, having disability, you can speak 5 languages. You are trying to contribute to the polyglots, and you are trying to, overcome the obstacle and be an example for disabled people. So that's actually inspiring me to contribute more. So you are already changing the situation or the overall atmosphere here. Even people like us who doesn't have any sort of disabilities, and I think it's already changed. You don't have to just think about that you have disability, people who don't accept you. You just have to contribute. You just have to think. You just have to share yourself. I think in this era, we're on the 21st century, we actually like ideas, like sharing and contributions. So it shouldn't be a problem, and we will understand you. Just start contributing, and we're here to help you and assist you, to be your companion.
So I have to get all that down in type. So just as I'm typing that response to Laura, I'm going to invite Bernhard, because one of the questions that she had as well is that it's quite difficult for people sometimes with disabilities to be able to access WordCamps, but that's where it's contributor days, because of the volume of noise. And that's not just her who's got a hard of hearing issue. It can also be if you have a lot on your mind, if you have a cognitive other issue, if you need to learn in a certain way. And what she's asking is that she's heard you talk about making things more inclusive, and she wanted to thank you for that and for your efforts in doing that, particularly because sometimes it's hard for someone with a disability give voice to what they are doing and what they need. And it takes people to sponsor and really understand and make time to do that. And she knows that some of the ideas that we've had through the marketing team that Bernhard has helped champion at WordCamp Europe as well. And she just wanted to say thank you for that. So, and Mizanur, I've now relayed what you said to her as well, and she says thanks. Okay, so we have another question about can we do something this week to explain the difference between localization, internationalization, and what a plugin developer actually needs to do, because it's so complicated. And is there a way of just doing a really easy, maybe even something like this session to explain what it means and how a plugin developer gets their plugin ready to be able to be used and translated? Can I send that to Erica?
Sure. Yes. Yeah, I don't know that I have a great answer off the top of my head, other than if that's something that you're interested in, I think we could absolutely coordinate and figure out something to whatever format ends up being helpful. That Mizanur, you can. I see that you raised your hand. You're welcome to take it away.
So I think by the question, what I've understood is that the plugin developer, how they can make their plugin or a theme developer translation ready. So I'm a developer, so if we can arrange any session, it wouldn't take more than 30 minutes to 60 minutes to do that. I can take that and help you out how to make your theme or plugin translation ready. And the easiest way, it will take 5 minutes if your theme and plugin are well coded, standard, and translation ready. It could be 5 minutes because there is already a command line interface, CLI code, which anyone can use to translate their plugin. It's already there.
That's brilliant. Perhaps Mizanur and Erica and Naoko could collaborate after this session, and if we can offer it, maybe we could do that. That would be lovely. And it's dynamic because we're responding to feedback, which is always good, and it's wonderful to see that. We seem to have a lot of people who speak German joining today. And I got another question saying, I don't live in Germany and I've never lived in Germany, but I speak German. I saw you've got a meetup advertised tonight. I take it that it's only for people living in Germany, but I'd quite like to find out more about how to translate in German. But I think that would apply to lots of people who are on this call. So can I hand over to Bernhard for that?
Yeah, it's not just for people living in Germany, but because it's a German meetup and some of the attendees might not speak English, it will be in German. But if you speak German, you are welcome to join. And we will specifically also explain on how to translate plugins or how to make them translatable. This is also something I always taught on the translation days when we had them in-person events, because it's very important for developers and theme developers to know how to make their plugins translatable. And I've learned so much about languages and on how to make my plugins even better in terms of translatability, because different languages have different ways on counting and things like that. So it's very interesting, and you learn a lot about languages. I only speak German and English, but I know some crazy things about like Russian counting and like Japanese not using any like different sentences for numbers and all of that. So it's really interesting when you learn how to make things translatable. And in the meetup today, we are going to explain you how to get involved in the Polyglots in the first place. So how do you join Slack, how to contribute on Translate WordPress.org, but also how can you translate a theme or plugin you use for yourselves and then like sharing the translation with others. And if you understand German, you're welcome to the meetup.
Thank you, Bernhard. And the same for all of our events, that you don't have to be in the country that the event is happening, particularly now. And do go ahead if you, and the same, I've had a message from the Indonesian group. If you speak the language they're dealing with, just come along. everybody is welcome. We have so many events happening on Saturday, on Friday. We have events and a closing ceremony on Sunday as well. The event just keeps getting bigger. It's wonderful. I think exhausting, but wonderful. I want to bring in Ujian's comment that it's like drops of water make an ocean. One single string translation can ease WordPress to make language accessible to their languages. And he wanted to add that Laura is making a good example which would inspire many. So thank you for that. And the other question is, so it says, thank you to Erica for explaining strings because they didn't know what that meant and they keep reading things like strings. And can they suggest that the polyglots have an introduction first page that just says, this is what these words mean, not a glossary, just the handful of words that people don't get past. And strings is one of them. Internationalization is another. And that they will share in the Slack, if that's okay, with some of the things that they know every time they run a contributor event or a meetup, they cannot get people past. There's a lot of assumption of what people know, and they understand why that is, but hopefully, it's that if you're willing to take feedback from meetups, that would be great. Erica's nodding, so that's wonderful. Unless there's any other urgent questions that people would like to be answered on this call, I'm very conscious of people's time. And also, is anything that the panelists would like to add? Erica, please do.
Yeah, I honestly, I would just like to say thank you. Thank you to the marketing team for everything that you've done. I've seen how much sweat and hard work has been put into this, and I think it's amazing. And also to every locale and every person who's working on organizing their own event. I think it's, I know for me, when I first got started, having an introduction, having a person who introduced me to what to do and feeling like I had a little bit of a buddy was so impactful. And I think that's true for everyone. And every event, no matter how big or small, I think has a huge impact. So thank you to all of you. And I'm super excited for the whole week.
Thank you, Erica. And we've been asked to do 3 more events this week and something in the closing ceremony, which I will talk to the team about, because I think we may also need to be following the lessons from Meher in about getting some adequate sleep, rest and hydration. But I'm very glad that Meher is able to join us, because I would like to. There's one question that came in that I've been saving for her, and Meher, the question was that, do you learn more about your own language and get more confident using it by being a polyglot?
Yes, obviously. Yes, 110%. Because not everyone uses their own language every time. Some people use it only with family, some people use it only with relatives. And mostly we all try and speak in English. But when you contribute, your language gets improved better, because there are a few words you may not talk during a normal conversation, but translating will give you certain opportunities to come across these words. Yeah, Hari.
I just want to add
And-
one. Sorry.
No, please do.
Sure.
No, please do.
Just a very quick point to what Meher said. I think translation is a great way to revive some of the dying languages. So there are many languages in the world that are in the process of, going away. So, and many of these languages are getting a lot of influence from other languages. So, for instance, in my own language, Malayalam, a lot of the words that we use for WordPress translation come from English. We don't have translations for that. So, I was discussing this with a few other people, and we were thinking of coming up with new words, like based on something. For instance, a word for menu, a local word for menu, or something like that. So it's a great way to actually build more languages, and it's a great way to get people to adopt these new languages. So I see that the possibilities are definitely endless. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add to this. That's all.
It's a
Over to you,
great addition.
Abha.
And I think Erica was about to say something too. So
No, I was just heavily agreeing with Hari. That's all.
it's great. You're all complimenting each other. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant to see. And I think that quite a few people have asked, when are we going to do the other sessions?
I think Mizanur wants to add something.
Mizanur, do you want to come in there?
I said I'm strongly agreeing with Harry. Actually, I can share my experience. I was thinking a lot in English rather than in my own language back in 2015 and 16. Then when I started, translating into Bengali, in different theme, firstly for my themes, I did that. So by doing so, I have started learning new words in Bengali and the approach how to, frame my sentences in Bengali in a good way. So I have learned through that. So it actually helps to learn your own language also.
It's wonderful the fact that you're all so enthusiastic and still. And, we've been going a little while and this is amazing. We've had quite a few questions come in about when will the other events be put on, and because they will have to be put together, we will promote those as soon as we can. And a lot of take up, I think, for Mizanur and Erica's doing something on plugins and internationalization, and quite a few comments about it's great to see such a diverse range of people supporting this, and it is perfectly okay that you don't have to join the chat on this channel. You can join it on Slack. That is never a problem. The polyglots, they meet every week and on different time zones, and that's to accommodate different time zones. The marketing team meets on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. UTC, apart from this week where we're all supporting this. And every team you can find out on makewordpress.org, and you can find out what time they meet, how to get involved, and your next steps. You can also find out on WordCamp Central schedule the WordCamps that are coming up. Another promotion for WordPress Accessibility Day, which starts this Friday at 1800 UTC and continues to Saturday 1800 UTC. And there are some items there that we'll be talking about that are relevant to translators, including a talk that I'm doing on subtitling and captioning on the Saturday. But please do support accessibility event. It's really important. It's not just about if you don't have a present need, it's also about making sure that we are a truly inclusive community. We also have the WP Diversity workshops that are coming up, and if you follow the WordCamp Twitter and the WordCamp Facebook, please do retweet and share the messages that we've been putting out there. The tag to look for is WP Diversity. And we have some very brilliant workshops coming up that will help you and also help meetups and WordCamps think about diversity in your speakers. We've also got the Learn WordPress platform, and they do have a look at whether this is something that you could do a talk in your own language. We're very keen on encouraging submissions that are not in English. So if you would like to know more, we have a little bit of information that we've been putting together with you, and we would love to share that with you. But we're also going to be promoting that, as we have been throughout this week of WordPress translation, so that we can get people to realize that you don't have to submit a workshop in English. I know Harry's nodding. Do you want to say anything else there, Harry, to encourage that?
Yes, definitely. So, like right now, the workshops in Learn WordPress are only in English, and we would love to get workshops in as many languages as possible. So, here's to the people that speaks all the languages in the world. Go ahead, submit your workshops, and as much as translations are important for WordPress, we'd like to help people learn WordPress in their own language and not have to learn English to learn WordPress. So, yes, please go ahead, submit those workshops, and please organize more discussion groups as part of Learn WordPress. That would be immensely helpful. Thank you. Over to you, Abha.
I'm going to hand over to Bernhard, who has something to add there.
Yeah. It's a bit of a summarization of all the things you just mentioned. Another aspect in polyglots, which is not technically polyglots alone, is subtitling all the videos. It helps people understand videos better if they are not native speakers or if they have hearing impairments. It makes it easy to translate those subtitles into other languages, so some people could follow the video reading the subtitles in their own language. And the other benefit is, if you subtitle a video, you learn something about WordPress. So you just go to WordPress TV, watch a random video you want to know about the topic, and you subtitle while you watch a video. So you learn something, you help in terms of accessibility, you help the Polyglots team to have like the original text so it can be translated. This is a really good thing you can do when you want to contribute.
Thank you, Bernhard. And I don't think we had you signed up as a subtitling champion, but I think we now do. So we will add you to our campaign. So we have a campaign in the marketing team and WordPress television all about subtitling. We really should make Erica part of that too, bring in polyglots. And there are 2 talks on subtitling at WordPress Accessibility Day on Friday and on Saturday. If someone can share the link to the WordPress Accessibility Day in the schedule, that would be wonderful. And yes, please, we have a priority list as well for key talks in WordPress TV that we would like subtitled first, based on need from users who need the subtitles, but also based on how we can help people get started in the community and get started with WordPress. So if you would like to get involved with that, drop into the marketing channel on Slack and come and get involved. We are really, really keen to have speakers that will be champions for subtitling. So the challenge is, if you've spoken at a WordCamp or a meetup, and could you subtitle your talk and then encourage other people? We have a promotion box that you can use and share that with others. So the best way to make those connections is by doing something, standing up for these things and making a difference. I think I've got everything that I was meant to highlight. I'm sure somebody will tell me if I haven't, but I want to say a very big thank you to Meher and to Erica and Harry, to Mizanur, to Bernhard, to Yvette, to Maya, who joined us earlier, to Larissa, to Meg, and basically also just to take a moment to say to Karika that you have been quite an inspiration for a lot of us in the marketing team with the way you deal with polyglots, and we couldn't wish for a better teammate. And thank you for helping make this happen today. So and that's the beauty of working in translation, is that you get to meet people like the ones that you've seen today. Come and be inspired. Come work with us. Come be a translator, be a contributor. You won't look back. And I think Meher is going to take us out of the broadcast, and I'm going to hand over to her.
I would like to say thank you to Abha as well from all of us for doing this amazing, for organizing this and helping this work through. Thank you to all the panelists. It was amazing having you here.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation and having us.
Abha, would you like to say the last words?
So thank you, everybody. You can, don't forget, follow us on Translate WP on Twitter. WordPress Translation Day, I think it might be WP Translation Day on LinkedIn and Facebook. And thank you to Rafaela, who's not able to join us today, but who has been the inspiration for a lot of the stuff that we've done this week. and just stay in touch. You can follow the LinkedIn WordPress translation group. You can also follow the Make WordPress marketing team on LinkedIn. And basically, happy translating. Enjoy your week.